Well, the last line of defense for WikiLeaker Bradley Manning's legal team failed in court today. Military Judge Denise Lind dismissed the team's request to drop the most serious charge facing the Army Private First Class. That is the charge of aiding the enemy. Here's why she turned it down. Judge Lind says that Manning's training made him aware of the fact that terrorist organizations use the internet. Therefore, he should have known that the 700,000 military and diplomatic cables that he leaked could end up in the hands of America's enemies. So is this a prelude to the ruling? And what type of an example does it set for future trials against whistleblowers? RT's Liz Wahl is at Fort Meade, and she joins me now with the latest. Hi there, Liz. How about this? Is this a very big blow to the defense's case at this point?
Well, it certainly is a big disappointment to the defense's case, Megan. As you said, the judge today did not dismiss that charge of aiding the enemy. That is the most serious charge that Bradley Manning faces. So as of now, the possibility of life without parole is a very real possibility for Bradley Manning. The court examined all the evidence and all the testimony that we've heard so far in this trial. And what the judge found, at least right now, is that there is enough evidence to move forward with that charge.
And I understand that Coombs, defense lawyer David Coombs, stated that at best prosecutors might have shown that Manning was negligent, or that he should have known that Al-Qaeda could access WikiLeaks and has done so in the past, but that he might not have had actual knowledge. But other than aiding the enemy charges, Liz, what other charges did the judge actually dismiss?
Okay, I just want to make it clear there that Coombs said that Manning shouldn't. He never said that Manning should have known. That is the prosecution's theory, that Manning should have known, and that's kind of the definition of actual knowledge, that he should have known with evil intent, that Osama bin Laden or Al-Qaeda would have seen that. Like you said, it's the defense's theory that possibly he was negligent. But we've got to make that distinction there.
And
another
the other charges
today that the judge didn't. The other charge today that the judge did not dismiss is the computer fraud charge. The judge, despite the defense has been insisting that Manning did not hack into any database, did not hack into any computers. The theory is that Manning, all the information that he leaked, that he had access with the security clearance that he had at the time, that he had access to this information. The prosecution, however, is saying that no matter how you cut it, this is unauthorized use. So as of today, these charges are standing.
Now, in order to convict Manning, as you had said, of aiding the enemy, the government must prove that he gave WikiLeaks intelligence with, quote, evil intent and actual knowledge. Now, obviously, this charge wasn't dismissed, and it could result in him getting 154 years to life, Liz. But from your standpoint sitting in court there, have you heard of any evidence proving that he had actual knowledge of that?
Well, that, Megan, is the big question. That's the big question. As you said earlier, it's what the prosecution is saying is that Manning's job as an intelligence analyst meant that he should have known. He should have known what he was doing. He should have known what the consequences were, that was his job. He was to work on computers, that his training would have informed him that this is how Al-Qaeda, this is how the enemy obtains information, that this is one method that they use to obtain intelligence. They're saying that this is one way that he should have known. The prosecution, or excuse me, the defense, however, is saying that there was no intent there. There was no evil intent there. They are saying that Manning is a whistleblower, that he leaked this information in an effort to expose wrongdoing and to spark a national debate.
Now, I understand, Liz, that the prosecution began its rebuttal this afternoon. What are we hearing from them?
Well, right now we are hearing a rebuttal to the way that the case has played out. As we know, the defense rested its case, the prosecution rested its case. So right now we are hearing just rebuttal testimony to what we've heard so far. Today, a lot of it was kind of very monotonous testimony, computer forensic analysis. We know that the prosecution is going to try to kind of rebuttal the way that the defense has basically question the motives. The defense, of course, says Manning's a whistleblower, that the reason he did all this was for noble causes. The prosecution, however, is going to try to prove otherwise, that he's, for some reason, leaked this information to gain notoriety. And by doing so, he put lives in danger, and that was his intent. And that at least is what the prosecution is going to try to prove during this phase.
Liz, any idea of when we could see this case being wrapped up here?
Well, the case is definitely winding down. We are in the rebuttal phase right now. It's unclear when we will hear closing statements. Could be as soon as tomorrow, could be early next week. Those are some of the dates that are floating around. So we're going to hear closing statements, and then, of course, it's up to the Judge Colonel Lind, Denise Lind, to deliver this verdict in this case, Megan.
And Manning chose to be tried by a military judge instead of by a military jury. Could this decision, given the fact that the judge now dismissed the charges of him, or refused to dismiss the charges of him aiding the enemy, actually be backfiring on him?
Well, that, I think at this point, that's speculation. We don't know. Right now, the judge refused to dismiss these charges. It is important to note that at this phase of the trial, there's not as much of a burden of proof. Right now, the judge is saying, based on the evidence she's heard so far, there's enough evidence to move forward with the trial to let these charges stand. Important to note that when it comes to the verdict, that the judge has a higher burden of proof when it comes to that phase of the trial. She is going to have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Manning, when he leaked hundreds of thousands of classified documents to the anti-secrecy website WikiLeaks, that he did so with actual knowledge that the enemy was going to get their hands on this information, Megan. So we're here at the final end of the trial here, so we'll be keeping a close eye on it.
RT correspondent Liz Wahl in Fort Meade, Maryland, thank you for the update.